That's your idea of India. And quite a few would suggest that don't be patronizing to somebody else's idea of India. And for them, they do feel that they've been possibly alienated. And for them, they need to assert themselves, even if it comes through religion.
Look, in any democracy, everyone is entitled to their own ideas. Certainly, I'm entitled to mine. They're entitled to theirs. As long as they have power, they'll think that theirs is the one that must prevail. But, you know, the tables can always be turned. That's what the ballot box is for. But equally, let me say very clearly that whatever their ideas of India, mine is anchored very firmly in the Constitution. There's nothing I've said today that departs from what the Constitution prescribes for all of us. Is that true of what they've been saying? That's the question they need to ask themselves.
You talk about Dr. Ambedkar. What would be, you've spoken extensively about that also in your vision document, but what would be your critique of it if you had to make one?
What would be?
Your critique of it, if you had to make
No, I'm actually a big fan of Ambedkar because I've written a book about him very recently, and his ideas and speeches and writings are very much fresh in my mind. I'm afraid that one of his biggest objections was to the idea of Hindu Raj, which is why there's a delicious irony to Ambedkar being extolled by the Hindutva movement, because he was quite savage in his critique of the idea of majoritarian rule, particularly one based on religious community identities. I have to tell you that very simply, he believed very passionately in the principles that were espoused in the Constitution. He made a couple of remarkable speeches when the document was finally to be passed by the Constituent Assembly, which really have stood the test of time. I've quoted them extensively in my short book on Ambedkar, so I hope some of you will go to it and read. But at bottom, as he said, in any case, there are problems in our society. He said, we've created a society with one person, one vote. But I mean, a constitution with one person, one vote, but we have a society where one person doesn't have the same value as another person. We're one man, one vote, but not one man, one value. And he said, we have essentially put our liberal democracy as a topsoil, as a dressing, onto a soil that is fundamentally undemocratic and illiberal. Strong language. But he wanted us to transform ourselves and our society. I think he would, for example, have been pleased to see someone like a Dalit woman becoming a chief minister. But at the same time, he would have wanted to see much more profound changes right across the way in which our system works. And to my mind, ours is still a work in progress. It's still unfinished. The challenges still remain. But we've done a lot of good things until, unfortunately, a change has come about in the way in which we are perceiving ourselves in our society, which I think has diminished us in many ways, not only in terms of our politics, but in the eyes of the world. That was unfortunate.